Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Bradley Meyer, the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. And Dr. Meyer, you would be pleased to know that my wife and I sitting out on the deck yesterday soaking up the luscious vitamin D as directed.
Oh, beautiful. Congratulations. Practicing what we preach, that's phenomenal. I was doing the same thing. Brady and I actually yesterday over the lunch hour where we went outside and we grabbed some vitamin D and grounded. I took my shoes off and I spent about 15 minutes, and then I walked around the clinic 3 times. I did a little Zach Bush nitric oxide boost, 4 minutes of that, and boy, I was ready for the afternoon. So it doesn't take much time, but it's the intention of it, and it can have a big impact on your mental space and your energy level. So that's all good. Way to go.
We're excited to talk to Brady. Just want to bring up one other thing. I don't know if you happen to notice in the National Football League this season, lots of guys, before they get into their serious pregame warm-up, they go out on the football field and do their own grounding. It's pretty incredible.
That's, Bill Lee was a friend of ours that we met a couple of years ago. He's a famous Boston Red Sox pitcher.
Yep.
And Hall of Fame pitcher, Bill Spaceman Lee. And he went to USC and from California. That's a big part of his routine as well. So that kind of struck me when I was doing some Legion ball. He was out there barefoot stretching right before the game would start. And the cool thing is some of the local teams are starting to implement that. I do know Spirit Lake does that as well. They have their kids before when they're warming up with the baseball, they go out and bare feet. So it's NFL. It's just catching on. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, let's talk to Brady. We want to hear Brady's story. Brady is an all-around do-it-all guy at Okoboji Wellness Clinic, but came to you a few months ago and in your terms was kind of sideways.
Totally sideways, yeah. He's in the Navy as a reserve, in the reserve right now, but was active duty for some years, and he was down at a pediatric clinic with oversight of that clinic and the nurses there, more in a managerial role, and helped with drawing labs. This was in Ankeny. He came to us this winter, was looking for answers. So I've got Brady here and excited to share his story.
Very good. Brady, welcome. Glad to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great hope story. So let's start at the beginning. What brought you to Okoboji Wellness Clinic?
Okay, so this takes me back to last Christmas Eve. I was doing a workout, went and sat in the sauna afterwards. Got done with the sauna, sat down on the bench, just kind of dry myself off, and my heart was pounding, racing. I just thought I was a little overheated, whatnot, but I couldn't get my heart rate down for a good 30 minutes, so I went to the emergency room. They told me I was fine, probably I was dehydrated. So I was like, okay. They told me to rest, relax for a few days. I did that. And then, let's say, fast forward a week, I was still having the same symptoms, heart race, dizziness, vertigo, nauseous every day. So I went back into the ER. They ran a bunch of tests. They're like, yeah, you're fine. Go home, rest, relax. I kept getting that same, go home, rest, relax, you're fine. Kept getting that. I was like, okay, I'll put in another week of, relaxation, nothing. So then that's when they started sending me out to specialists. They're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. I saw 3 different specialists, cardiology, neurology, just a bunch of different people. Still the same thing, no answers. We don't know what to do. Here's a bunch of pills, go home, rest, relax. Well, obviously, after a certain point of time, I can only do so much of that before, it starts affecting work and it starts affecting my social life. And because I was so bad, I was so dizzy, I was so disoriented that I couldn't drive. I had to have people drive me places. And yeah, it took a toll on me. And I was starting to get really frustrated, me relying on everybody else. Yeah, just not getting anywhere.
if I may, how old a guy are you?
30.
Oh, wow.
So this is
wow.
So this is something that should not be happening to a 30-year-old.
Correct.
So that was another thing that was in my mind is like, well, I'm 30. This shouldn't be happening. I'm getting no answers. So the next step for us after seeing all the specialists, I was like, my mom's like, let's go to Mayo. We'll hopefully get some answers up in Mayo. She had to come get me from the Ankeny area, drive me back to Northwest Iowa, 3 hours. That was the most miserable time of my life because for the full 3 hours, I had to stare at the floorboard because my world was spinning.
Wow.
So whatever it is with the car rides, it just absolutely spins my world. I'm a lot better now, but yeah, full 3 hours, I had to stare at the floorboard. But in the meantime, while we were waiting to get into Mayo, luckily my aunt, God bless her, she's like, have you heard of Dr. Meyer? Like, no, I haven't heard of Dr. Meyer. So we started doing a little research, started seeing all the things that he promotes. We called him up. We got in, did an hour visit with him, and I was essentially hooked.
And so your road to recovery began how?
All right. So it was quite a road. So first he put me on a pretty strict diet, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. So that was one of the first things he tackled. Hyperbarics, IV ozone, and then neurofeedback or IASIS.
And so how long before you started to notice, hey, I'm getting better?
Okay, so when I first got to Dr. Meyer, my mom was still driving me to appointments. It took me, so I did hyperbarics every day, and then IV ozone was twice a week, same with IASIS, the neurofeedback. I did that twice a week. I think it was about 3 weeks I was able to drive on my own.
Wow. And your world stopped spinning?
Yep, so my world stopped spinning. I got my dizziness and vertigo in check. My gut health's a lot better. And then even going a little bit past the 3 weeks, we're into week 4 of treatment, and they offer me a job. So I started working some half days for them, and then I was feeling even better. I bet you I worked half days for a week or two, and then I'm currently on full time.
Wow.
After about a month and a half of treatment. So
that is such a cool story. Okay, so 30-year-old Navy Reserve should not be feeling this way. Going to the emergency room, they say, hey, by the way, how fast was your heart racing? What was your pulse?
I was up into the 130, 140 range.
Wow. Okay.
Blood pressure like 180 over 100 at times.
Okay, so you're seeing emergency room doctors. They're sending you off to see specialists. You're seeing all kinds of doctors. They're chucking pills at you. You find Dr. Meyer. Your story turns around. What about the pills?
Oh, boy. So I bet you the first ER visit that I had, I went home with 8 or 9 different pills.
Wow.
Blood pressure medicine, anxiety, depression. They wanted to put me on SSRIs. Yeah, it was a whole works. I was looking up the side effects of some of these drugs that they're prescribing me, and it was the same thing that I went into the ER for.
Yeah.
Dizziness, vertigo. I'm like, I'm not taking this if it's going to worsen my dizziness and vertigo.
So what's your pill load now?
We just have a few supplements that we're doing. Currently, right now, I'm on a kind of a detox regimen, and then we're kind of going from there.
Incredible story. Brady, I am so glad 30-year-old Navy Reserve has got your situation turned around. It sounds like you have been through turmoil, and that would be an understatement. Anything else you want to add to your story?
Just reflecting on the whole thing, it's hard to say that it wasn't God's plan with all of this. I know it's when you're in it, you're like, oh, this is miserable. Obviously, going from not being able to drive to, my aunt just happening to know who Dr. Meyer is and all these things leading up to now. And now I just feel like I'm in a great place, health-wise, work-wise. All of it just led to this point, and it was, it's hard to say it wasn't God's plan.
That's awesome. Coming off of Easter, I always think of Easter as a renewal, new again, and your story is one of renewal. Congratulations, Brady. I'm so glad you're feeling well. Continued best of luck at Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Continued best of luck with your health as your road to recovery is remarkable. It's a tremendous hope story. Thank you for sharing it with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Meyer, this is why you had to go to medical school, right?
Right. I'm grateful for that training because I do implement it. But this is the real reason. That now getting to do what I do now, implementing so many things beyond the scope of what I was taught in school that is evidence-based and passes the muster, and we have folks that are like Brady, that literally were at a point of desperation. I think he was had severe fatigue in addition to that dizziness, and then you start to get into your head and the anxiety gets huge, and then you can start to lose hope and think, well, am I ever going to be normal again? Because if I'm sideways like this, and I've been to all these specialists, and there's really no answers, he's made a remarkable turn in the last 3 months. And what's been a blessing is that he's great with lab draws and pediatric lab draws, so he's really good with his outlook on looking outside the box. Just fits perfectly. He kind of already was a believer in that. Going back, he's from Lake Park and spent years working on getting his body into optimal shape. He worked with Levi Marquardt, the Athletic Republic growing up, doing kettlebell training. So he always took his health seriously, and then to suddenly have things go sideways with the health in a big way, but then to get him renewed and back on the road he wants to be on, but also for him to be very much into the mission that we have here. That's our team here. It's very much everybody's on board with looking outside the box and finding other ways to get the body into that healing state. So everybody that's here that is part of our team, we all love what we're doing, and it's an absolute joy to come to work every day. Can't say it's always been that way over my career, but it is now, and I'm grateful for that because of the lives we get to touch on a daily basis like Brady.
That's awesome. Well, we are way out of time. We got to go. Thank you to Brady for sharing his story. What an incredible hope story. Dr. Meyer, if people are listening and they're like, man, this is my story. I'm way too young to feel like this, or doesn't even have to be at 30. You've been, waking up for 10 years not feeling well. How can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, give us a call at 712-339-6024. We are at 3305 Berquist Avenue in Spirit Lake off Highway 71. And again, give us a call if you want to schedule a complimentary discovery call, and that's a 15-minute visit with me where we can just go over briefly some of the areas that you're feeling sideways on and maybe some potential first steps getting going in the clinic, and then we'll get you scheduled.
Very good. Dr. Meyer, great pleasure. As always, we'll check in again next Wednesday.
All right. Be well. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Dr. Bradley Meyer of the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. You can also go to the website, okobojiwellnessclinic.com.